So yesterday I was discussing regarding your permanent magnet moving coil instrument. Honor Shet has left the meeting. Why? So I was discussing permanent magnet moving coil instrument, and I have already discussed what is the basic constructional difference of concentric core construction and U-shaped permanent magnet construction or permanent magnet moving coil instrument. Now today we will define the operating principle of operation of permanent magnet moving coil instrument. Can you hear my voice clearly, all of you? Hello,
Yes, sir.
students. Yes.
Sir, there is a slight disturbance in your voice, sir. Background noise.
Noise is coming.
So a
Yes,
bit of
sir.
background noise is coming.
What about others' response? Is this
Yes, sir.
clear?
Slight background noise is there.
Yes,
Background
slight
noise.
background noise.
That because ceiling fan is moving, and that's why maybe a noise.
So it's okay, we can understand you, so you can
Yes, sir. We
continue.
can understand.
Okay. I think today is 3rd March, na?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
In case of PMC instrument, there is a aluminum former uh, cylindrical construction of the aluminum former is there, and coils are there, and permanent magnet. That's why it is termed as permanent magnet moving coil type instrument. So this is the aluminum coil former. This is permanent magnet. And on the aluminum coil former, the coils are wood. So I am just looking at the top. And the length I am considering, that is L, and width that is B. So whenever torque is there, inside there is a spindle. Oh, sorry.
Sir, someone is trying to join, sir.
And there is a pointer. Pointer can move over this calibrated scale. Sometimes the scale is calibrated in terms of voltage, then it is voltmeter. Sometimes scale is calibrated in terms of current, then it is ammeter. And this is your control spring. And this spindle is pivoted in the bearing. Very sophisticated bearing is used. It is termed as someone is trying to join. No one is there. So it is pivoted, the spindle is pivoted on the bearing. Both sides there are bearings. And very sophisticated jewel cup bearing is used. The term is jewel cup bearing. So I am considering the magnetic field that is created by this permanent magnet. These are two permanent magnets. So I have already told you in last class that two different types of constructional features are there. One is U-shaped permanent magnet type, another is concentric core permanent magnet type. So whatever it may be, so magnetic field is created by permanent magnets. And the cylindrical aluminum coil former is there, and coil is wound on this coil former, and this cylindrical coil former or the total assembly of this coil that can be connected with the centrally axially connected with a spindle. That spindle is pivoted in the jewel cup bearing in top and bottom, so that the spindle can be rotated. And then spindle is tied with the pointer. That pointer can, whenever the spindle is moving, rotating, and then pointer can be rotated over this calibrated scale. And both sides there are two springs are there. That is control springs are there. These are the control spring. The control spring function so it will provide the controlling torque as well as it will provide the current leading and lead out into the instrument and away from the instrument. And another feature is that whenever there is no current, so the pointer should go back to the zero position by the spring action. So spring action, that should be against the deflecting torque. The controlling torque will be against deflecting torque. Whenever current is withdrawn, then this deflecting torque will make the controlling torque will make the pointer to go back to its zero position. So that is also the function of control spring. So I am considering, say, D is the flux density. That is created by this permanent magnetic field, and L is the length or depth of the coil, that is the length of the coil, and B is the breadth of the coil. And I am considering that so control string that will take the current, that current leading in and leading out, that is done by the control spring also. So if it is ammeter, the current leading in to the through this control spring, and it goes to the coil, and then whenever coil is carrying current, and current will be leading out from the control spring also. So I am considering that current is, the I is the current flowing through the coil, and the number of turns of the coil, that is N. Someone is trying to join. Now, whenever a current carrying conductor placed in a magnetic field, it will experience a force, and the deflecting torque, that will be equal to the effective force into perpendicular distance where force is activated. So if we come to the expression of the deflecting torque, TD, that deflecting torque, that will be the force into the effective perpendicular distance where force is activated. So that force, that will be equal to NBI into L. So N is the number of turns, B is the flux density, I is the current, and L is the effective length of the conductor into B. So ultimately it will be BI N into A. That is the deflecting torque. And the controlling torque, that is provided by the string control action, that PC, that is also proportional to the deflection theta. So that is equal to some constant Kc into theta, that is control string constant. So now at equilibrium condition, that deflecting torque will be exactly equal to the controlling torque, and then this controlling torque will provide the stopping criteria how far the pointer should be deflected. So at equilibrium condition, this deflecting torque will be equal to the controlling torque PC. So that will be equal to Kc into theta. So here you see, if the magnetic field is uniform magnetic field, so flux density is constant, and number of turn is the design criteria of the coil, that should be constant, and A is the effective cross section, so L into B, that is also constant, that is design criteria. So we can say it is nothing but some constant Kd into I, that will be equal to Kc into theta. So you see that theta is directly proportional to I. So deflecting angle of the pointer over this calibrated scale, that will be proportional to the current that is to be measured. So since it is directly proportional, the scale is uniform. So uniform graduation scale is there. And another thing, how the damping torque is provided. Whenever there is a deflection, so this aluminum former along with the coil assembly, that will be rotated by this deflecting torque till it stops to a certain position. So whenever there is a deflection of the total assembly, this aluminum former is also deflected. Aluminum former is also moving or rotating, and then there is a change of flux linkage in the aluminum former, and due to the Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction, the eddy current will be induced in the aluminum former also, and that according to Lenge's law, it will oppose its cause, and cause is the rotation of the aluminum former, so it will try to oppose the rotation of aluminum former, and that's why it will provide a torque which is against this deflection, and as long as the deflection, as long as there is a rotation of this aluminum former, this deflecting torque is activated. Whenever the rotation will stop at equilibrium condition or steady state condition, then this opposing torque is also zero. So whenever there is a rotation of aluminum former, a damping torque that is against the deflecting torque will be activated to dampen the oscillation condition, because TD is equal to TC, that is not instantaneous without damping arrangement. Then it will be oscillating in nature. So this it will be under damped oscillation. So it will require some time to fix the pointer to a desired point. But you should take instantaneous reading. Time for taking the reading, that should be minimum, and that's why you should critically damp the system. The damping torque should be such that it will critically damp, so that less time will be required for instantaneous deflection, or time of measurement should be less or instantaneous. Then the critically damping arrangement should be there. So it is eddy current damping arrangement, and that is why the aluminum former is used. Aluminum is a conductive material, and eddy current is induced. And I have already told you that it is most efficient damping arrangement, as because it is self-compensating. Whenever requirement of current, whenever you are measuring more current, then the rotational speed is comparatively more, and then eddy current induction, that is also comparatively more, and the damping torque necessary is more, and it will compensate as per the requirement of the damping torque. Whenever current is less, the damping torque necessity is also less, so torque will be also self-compensated as per this requirement. So it is most efficient damping in comparison to the air friction and fluid friction damping. Now, what are the advantages of this PMC instrument? What are the advantages of this PMC instrument? First of all, the power consumption of this instrument is low, as because size of the instrument or magnetic field becomes more uniform, so consumption of power is comparatively low. Since the magnetic field is most uniform field, so leakage flux is comparatively less, and consumption of power, that is also lower. Second, I've already told you, since the deflecting torque is directly proportional to the deflection, so the scale is uniform. Scale is uniform. The basic advantage is that it is easily readable, and in most efficient, delicate construction, that is maintained in concentric core construction, the coil span is quite wide. Wide span of measurement. So that is up to say 270-degree span of measurement. So it is quite easily readable. And another thing is that since the compact design is there, so torque per weight ratio is high. And this is our design criteria of an instrument. Whenever instrument should be designed, its torque per weight ratio becomes high, then more torque can be developed with less weight. So instrument will be more portable and lighter weight. So it is our design criteria to make the instrument portable, handy. Then the torque per weight ratio should be more. So this kind of instrument have more torque per weight ratio. Another thing is that hysteresis loss is not there. No hysteresis loss. Actually, hysteresis loss is there whenever there is a reversal of magnetization. Whenever there is a magnetization is reversal, means there is an alternating in nature current is there. So your current alternation is there. So magnetization is reversed. Then there is a chances of hysteresis loss. So that hysteresis loss, I have already told you that this kind of loss is the effective area of the BH loop. So this kind of instrument, since there is no reversal of magnetization, so no alteration of current, DC current is measured here, so no hysteresis loss is there. Someone is waiting for joining. And another thing is that most efficient eddy current damping. if damping is most efficient, then the time of measurement becomes less. So if damping is not efficient, it is under damped, then there may have some oscillation, and you should take more time for taking the reading. If the damping is more means it is more than that of the requirement, then the response is very sluggish. So it is over damped system. The system response is very sluggish, and it will take more time to take the reading. So it should be efficient and critically damped. So this kind of instrument provide, since it is used eddy current damping arrangement is there. So another thing is that this kind of instrument, since it is more compact in size, in concentric core construction, the field is very strong and magnetic field is very strong, and since the magnetic field is very strong, there should not have any stray magnetic field effect or neighboring magnetic field effect. Sometimes the instrument magnetic field is weak in another type of instrument, like moving iron instrument, like that. So different another instruments, if there is no strong magnetic field, then that instrument may have some stray magnetic field effect. Stray magnetic field effect means there may have some neighboring magnetic field, and instrument sometimes malfunction or gives the erroneous reading for the stray magnetic field effect. So here the magnetic field is very strong, and that's why the error from the stray magnetic field is nil. So strong magnetic field. But there are some other disadvantages also, and these are due to the delicate construction of the concentric core construction. So I have already told you this, due to this concentric core construction, the fringing field effect is nominal. That is the instrument that is more effective in permanent in U-shaped magnet, but in concentric core fringing field effect is nominal, so flux is more uniform, and that's why to make this shape, concentric core shape, the constructional cost is more, and for this delicate construction, for accurate machining, it is comparatively more costly instrument. Another thing is that whenever there is a control spring, there may have some aging effect. Aging effect means, so after a long time you are using this control spring, there may have some permanent deformation of the control spring also. So after a long time using this the spring control action, there may have some aging effect, and permanent elongation may have. And that will lead the zero error. Whenever there is a permanent elongation of the control spring is there, then whenever you are withdrawing some amount of current, say for example you are withdrawing the total current, the control spring action will bring back the pointer to the zero position, But if there is a permanent elongation happens due to the aging effect, then the then the pointer should not go back to the zero position, and zero error will be there. So that is not neglecting. You cannot neglect this zero error. So due to this aging effect, then you have to replace this control spring. Another thing is that this kind of instrument is only applicable for DC only. Why? Because you are using permanent magnet. So whenever you are using permanent magnet, so flux direction is constant. You can change the current direction, but whenever you are changing the current direction for AC application, but you cannot change the flux direction, then what happens? The torque of deflection, that should be negative, because whenever you are expressing the deflecting torque equation, then it depends on the flux density, the multiplication of the flux density, as well as the current which is flowing through the coil. So whenever you are changing the current direction, means I becomes minus I, and you cannot change the flux direction as because it is permanent magnet. So deflecting torque will be negative in the second half cycle of the alternating nature current. So it will be there will be a problem of different direction torque. So it cannot be activated in unless and until you can change the flux direction simultaneously with the current direction. So the torque direction cannot be uniform or one direction. So torque deflecting torque direction should be unique. So you cannot make this unit directional deflecting torque in AC application because you cannot change the flux direction here. So it is only applicable in DC, not in AC. Now I have already told you that if you consider what are the source of error of this kind of instrument, first of all, the source of error, that is that I have already told you, the control spring aging effect may happen, and then you have to replace the control spring. If the control spring aging effect is there, then zero error may happen. Whenever you are withdrawing the current, then the zero error may happen due to the aging effect. And I have already told you, whenever there is a permanent magnet construction is U-shaped permanent magnet construction, so there is fringing field effect, and this fringing field effect at the sharp end of the magnet means at the leading edge there may have some flux crowding, and at the middle of the magnet there is a flux less crowding. So uniformity of the flux linkage is hampered in the U-shaped permanent magnet construction, and whenever field is not uniform, it will it will limit the deflection of the pointer. So pointer deflection may be 110 degree, not more than. So whenever there is a deflection that is more than 110 degree, then there may have some erroneous effect due to the fringing field effect in the U-shaped permanent magnet construction. But whenever you are using, concentric core construction, then this kind of error will not happen. So uniformity due to non-uniform field, error may occur due to the non-uniformity of the magnetic field. And since the magnetic field is more strong, that I have already told you, that no stray magnetic field effect is there. So it doesn't. In case of stray magnetic field effect in other instrument, to avoid this, you have to use the magnetic shielding of this instrument. Then magnetic shielding will carry the stray magnetic fluxes, and so there should have no flux linkage or effect on the measurement of the instrument. But this kind of instrument, since the magnetic field is very strong, so no stray magnetic field effect is there, so no magnetic field magnetic shielding is necessary here. And in some of the instruments, if the control spring is replaced by the gravity control arrangement, so the gravity control arrangement having a restriction of taking the measurement in vertical condition, resting the instrument in vertical condition, and that's why it is termed as the instrument dial. It is shown that there may have some this kind of symbol is there. So instrument should be rested in gravity control arrangement, in vertical arrangement, so that the reading will be not erroneous. So, but if the instrument is rested in horizontal position, then the reading will be erroneous, as because there is a vertical load, and whenever there is a deflection, I have already told you that there is a displacement of the load, and the controlling torque that is created, that is proportional to the sine of the angle of the deflection. And if it is rested in gravity control arrangement, some of the instruments are used gravity control arrangement, then if you rest the instrument in horizontal position, then error may happen. So gravity control arrangement instrument should be rested vertical position. Then another type of electrodynamic instrument is there. Another type of moving coil. Yes,
Sir, please move the slide a bit up, sir.
last slide.
Yes, sir. Yes. Yes, sir. Okay, sir. Okay.
So I have already told you that this PMC instrument is a moving coil category. So I have already told you this moving coil instrument that may be classified into two categories. One category that is PMMC type and another category that is dynamometer type. Or sometimes it is termed as electrodynamic instrument. Now PMMC instrument that can be applicable for DC only. In case of PMMC ammeter, that is also DC. In case of PMMC voltmeter, that is also DC. But in case of voltmeter, there must have some since the instrument coil is subjected to voltage, in case of voltmeter, there must have some series resistance. And along with this series resistance, it will applied with the DC to measure the voltage. Whenever this instrument coil, this is RM is instrument coil, and RAC is the series resistance. So the series resistance is placed as because this voltmeter is subjected to the direct voltage measurement. Whenever say you are measuring say 300 volt, then 300 volt is subjected to the instrument itself. Unless you are using the series resistance, you cannot limit the current. So whatever it may be, whether it is voltmeter or ammeter, in case of voltmeter, this current that is proportional, that is equal to the applied voltage V divided by Rm plus RAC. So here, as per this PMC instrument, at the equilibrium condition, I is proportional to theta. Since the I, Rm and RAC, these are the constant. So in case of ammeter, the current is proportional to the deflecting angle. In case of voltmeter, V is proportional to also the deflecting angle. But mind it, there must have some series resistance. Unless you cannot limit, the coil may be burned. You cannot limit the current in case of PMC instrument. But in case of electrodynamometer type instrument, it can be applicable both AC and DC. Because this kind of instrument, there may have the current reversal as well as simultaneous flux reversal. Whenever current and flux both are reversed, then the net torque, deflecting torque, should be unique direction, and that's why it can be applicable in AC and DC. This kind of instrument, there are also arrangement of the magnetic field as well as the coil that is also moving. So as the PMC instrument, the magnetic field is created in PMC, that is permanent magnet, but here the magnetic field is created by the electromagnet. So the coils are two different coils are there. One is your fixed coil, and that is your moving coil. Two bearings are there. Inside there is a spindle, and a deflecting coil is there. And there is an arrangement of control spring also, and control spring and a deflecting pointer, and pointer can be moved. The pointer can move over the calibrated scale, and control spring also. And this coil is the moving coil, and this coil fixed coil. Fixed coil 1 and fixed coil 2. So this fixed coil is divided uniformly into two parts. One is the fixed coil 1 and fixed coil 2. So this fixed coil will create the magnetic flux. So for making the uniform magnetic flux creation, the fixed coil is divided into two parts, and the moving coil is placed in between to the fixed coil, so that the flux becomes most uniform. So current which is flown through the fixed coil, that is this is the fixed coil current, that is I1, and the current that is flown to the moving coil, that is I2. So current that is responsible for flux creation, that is I1, and current which is responsible for measurement, that is your I2. So flux that is created by the fixed coil current, so the flux density B, that is proportional to I1, because fixed coil current will create the flux, and flux density is proportional to I1, and moving coil current, that is I2, and the deflecting torque, whenever there is a current carrying conductor placed in a magnetic field, the magnetic field is created by the electromagnet carrying current I1. So as per the permanent magnet moving coil instrument that I have already derived, that the deflecting torque that is proportional, that is equal to N D I2 L into B, where N is the number of turn, B is the flux density, I2 is the moving coil current, or current is to be measured. That is the unknown current. That unknown current is flown through the moving coil. That is the unknown current. That unknown current is to be measured, and L is the effective length of the coil, and B is the breadth. So if you put the value here, that's B is equal to some constant K into I1. So here deflecting torque TD, that will be equal to N K into I1. I am putting the value of B, then I2 L into B. So here that is equal to some constant KD I1 into I2, because number of turns is constant, K is constant, L and B, these are the design criteria. Length of the conductor, width of the conductor, these are the design criteria. So these are all constant. So if there is a spring controlling arrangement, that TC is proportional to theta, angle of deflection, that is equal to Kc into theta. So at equilibrium, TD is equal to TC. So here KD I1 into I2, that is equal to Kc into theta. So theta is proportional to I1 into I2. So here I1 is providing the flux, because I1 is the magnetizing current, I1 is the current which is responsible for flux creation, and I2 is the unknown current for measurement. Sometimes in your ammeter arrangement, sometimes this kind of arrangement is there. So this is your fixed coil arrangement. Fixed coil is divided into two parts. Then the moving coil arrangement is there. So moving coil is placed in between two fixed coil and in series, and then it is connected with a load, electrical load, then it go back. So this is your current I, this is fixed coil 1, this is your fixed coil 2, and this is moving coil, and this is load, electrical load. So I am not drawing the spindle or pointer arrangement. This kind of action is there. Whenever this kind of action is there, so moving coil current and fixed coil current are same. So if this I1 is equal to I2 is equal to I, then you can say that theta is proportional to I square. So here in this type of instrument, this is your dynamometer type ammeter. So here, since the current, since the deflecting angle of deflection, that is proportional to the current square. So the scale is not uniform, it will maintain the square law. What is the square law? So it is at the initial moment when the current is 0.001, so from 001 to 0.002, the change of deflecting angle is very, very less. But whenever current is 1 to 2, that is a changeover. The square of the current is 1 square to 2 square, means so 0 to 4. Whenever current is 10 to 20, there is a changeover from 10 square to 20 square. So whenever you are increasing current, the graduation of scale reading is less. So whenever current is very minimum, so graduation is graduation is more whenever current is more. Graduation is less whenever current is less. So the scale will be cram scale. So initially the scale is more crowded, but whenever you are increasing the current parameter, then it is less crowded. Like this. So it is initially cram scale, that is more crowded scale, but whenever you are increasing the higher range, higher part of the scale, the current is less crowded. So it is the cram scale, initially cram scale. Another thing is that whenever there is an extension of range, whenever there is extension of range is there, so in case of ammeter, if you want to extend the range, you have to use the shunt. So if it is IM and RM is the resistance of the meter and IM is the current which is flown through the ammeter, so this is your ammeter and this is the shunt resistance. So this is your ammeter arrangement. So ammeter is there, so total assembly is there, so internal resistance of the ammeter, so I am considering this is your internal resistance of the ammeter, that is RM, and the full scale deflection current, full scale deflection current IM in the ammeter, and RM is the internal resistance. Say I ampere is to be measured, and there is a limitation of the current which is flown through the ammeter. So whenever you want to increase current measurement range, then you have to increase low resistance shunt. S is the shunt resistance. So you say that this S is the shunt resistance. So you see that IM, this two parallel circuit, IM is the full scale deflection current, IM into RM is the internal resistance of the ammeter, that is equal to I minus IM, that current is flown, that is I minus IM to the shunt into S. So you can say that S is equal to IM by I minus IM into RM. So whether you can find that I by IM, that is equal to 1 plus RM by S. Whenever you can decrease the shunt resistance, whenever you can decrease the shunt resistance, you can increase the current magnification factor. So I by Im, I is the current that can be measured and Im is the full scale deflection current. So if you want to measure more current, then you have to decrease the shunt resistance. So this is your current magnification factor. So whenever you want to increase the current magnification factor, then you have to decrease the shunt resistance. That means you can extend the range of measurement by using a shunt resistance, low resistance shunt. So if you can decrease the shunt resistance, then you can increase the current magnification factor and measurement range will be extended. So in case of, this is your range extension for ammeter, you can extend the range extension for voltmeter. I have already told you that each meter must have the internal resistance, and I am considering that internal resistance of this voltmeter, that is Rm, and series resistance that is inserted for extension of the range, that is R. So you are applying some amount of voltage here, that is V. So V is the voltage that is to be measured through the voltmeter. This is your voltmeter, and internal resistance of the voltmeter is Rm, and the series resistance is R. So Rm is equal to internal resistance and R is the series resistance for range extension. And here that is Vm, and that is your V minus Vm, where Vm is the full scale deflection voltage, voltage at which the voltmeter gives the full scale deflection, that is your Vm, full scale deflection voltage. So if the full scale deflection voltage is there, then Im is the current that is passing through the voltmeter. So here Vm, full scale deflection voltage, that is equal to Im into Rm. And R into Im, that is equal to V minus Vm. That is the voltage drop in the series resistance. So from here we can get that V minus Vm divided by Vm, that is equal to R into Im divided by Rm into Im. So that is R by Rm. So you see that V by Vm, that voltage magnification factor, that is equal to 1 plus R by Rm. Here you can see that for this is your voltage magnification factor. For range extension, you have to increase the voltage magnification factor. So how to increase the voltage magnification factor? If you increase the resistance R, series resistance R, then the voltage magnification factor will be increased and range will be increased. So For the voltage range extension, you have to use more series resistance, then more voltage you can measure. Voltage measurement factor will be more. In case of ammeter, you have seen that shunt resistance should be less. As much as you lessen the shunt resistance, the current magnification factor will be increased. As much as you increase the voltage series resistance, the voltage magnification factor will be increased. Now, in case of shunt ammeter, you have to increase the shunt. So, this is your fixed coil 1, and this is your fixed coil 2, and then this is your moving coil, and you have to increase the shunt resistance. Then you have to apply the electrical load, and this kind of arrangement should be there. So when I current is to be measured, so this is your IM current, and this is your I minus IM current that is flown to the shunt, and this is actually the I current that is flown to the electrical load. So there is a current magnification in dynamometer type ammeter. This is your shunt, and this is your RM, and this is your shunt S. So here I have already told you that I by IM, that is current magnification factor, that will be equal to, as in the formula, that is 1 plus RM by S. So whenever you are decreasing this shunt resistance, the current magnification factor will be increased. In case of electrodynamometer type voltmeter, there must have some fixed coil arrangement. So fixed coil 1 and fixed coil 2. and there must have some moving coil arrangement, and since voltmeter is subjected to the direct voltage application to the meter, so there must have some series resistance, unless you cannot limit the current which is passing through the voltmeter. This is your fixed coil 1, this is your fixed coil 2, this is your moving coil, this is electrical load. I am not drawing the spindle arrangement, pointer, scale arrangement. Actually, moving coil is tied with the spindle, and this moving coil can be moved whenever the when the moving coil experiences a torque, the current carrying conductor placed in the magnetic field, then the moving coil will move, and the tied spindle will move, and the pointer and scale will be moved. So I am not drawing the spindle, pointer and scale arrangement. I am just drawing the electrical circuit only. The supply voltage, this is your supply voltage V. That V supply voltage should be given here, and this is your series resistance, and internal resistance of the meter is Rm. So here I have already told you that voltage magnification, internal voltage drop in the moving coil, that is Vm, and V by Vm, that will be equal to 1 plus R by Rm. So whenever you are increasing R, then V by Vm voltage magnification factor will increase. So range extension can be carried out. This R having two functions. One function is to limit the current, as because the moving coil is subjected to the full supply voltage across. So current should be limited by this resistance, as well as this resistance will act another purpose. That purpose is to extend the range. Whenever you are increasing more resistance, series resistance, then voltage magnification factor will be increased. Another thing is that this kind of dynamometer type instrument can be applied also for wattmeter. In case of wattmeter,
Sir,
yes,
sir, we have class straight from 12, sir. So if you start wattmeter, then it would be very late to join the next class.
we have class from 10, 2 minutes also left.
Yes, sir. So if you start wattmeter, then it will be late for the next class.
So it is sharply started at 12 noon.
Yes, sir.
Sharply started at 12 noon, or sometimes 5 minutes late is there.
No, sir. Sharp 12 noon.
Sharp 12 noon.
Yes.
Sir, actually we get late every day. So ma'am says that tell sir to end the class 5 minutes early.
Okay. Just I want to draw the wattmeter circuit, and next I will explain this. So there is a fixed coil arrangement. There is another fixed coil arrangement is there, and the load is there, load resistance is there, and there is a spindle like construction, and there is another coil that is called the moving coil arrangement is there, and the current leads in and leads out to a control spring to the moving coil. But this moving coil is connected with this fixed coil arrangement, and supply voltage is given here. So this is fixed coil 1 and this is fixed coil 2 and this is moving coil, and that spindle can be rotated. This fixed coil 1 and fixed coil 2, these are activated by these are directly connected with the electrical load, and here the moving coil that is through a resistance is connected here. So this is your moving coil arrangement. Sometimes this kind of action is there whenever fixed coil is the current actuating voltage actuating coil, then here the load resistance is not there. Sorry. Whenever it is voltage actuating, then this is your series resistance. So this voltage, that is the voltage actuating coil, is the current is actually the moving coil is voltage actuating coil, and here fixed coil is current actuating coil. So wattmeter construction is like that. There must have some current coil and also a voltage coil or potential coil like this. So this here you are applying some AC alternating voltage, and here load is connected. So this is your current coil. So here current coils are there, current coil. This is also current coil because the current which is flown through the load, that is passing through the current coil, and this is your potential coil, and current coil and potential coil are shorted here, and this portion is not shorted. The potential coil, since it is subjected to the supply voltage, so there is a series resistance R. So potential coil, these are the potential coil subject to the supply voltage, and current coil that is connected in series with the load. So now this is your wattmeter construction. Sometimes this moving coil is connected with the load, and then fixed coils are connected through the resistance also. Whenever this kind of arrangement is there, this is called the wattmeter arrangement. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Sir, will you explain this again the next day?
Yes.
Sir, will you explain this wattmeter again next day?
Yes, I will explain wattmeter. I will explain the derivation of torque, everything. So up to
Thank
today's class, as because your next class will begin, and that's why I have to stop here. Thank you so much.
Sir, you have not sent the notes of AC.
Yes,
Sir, AC notes.
AC notes I have already sent you. Fundamental AC notes I have already sent you. In
Sir,
your
instruments.
instrument portion, actually it is from different notes are there. It is scattered, and that's why there is a problem of accumulation. So you have to follow the class.
Okay, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Sir,
Yes,
sir, please send this Word file where you were doing in the class.
yes, I must send you one file to your
Okay, sir. Okay.
classroom material portions. Yesterday also I have sent you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I
Yes,
saw.
sir. We got it.
We see that.
Okay, I must send you. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.